and get started. So just hang tight. We're going to jump in and start to talk about air purifiers in a moment. Just hang out for a second, and we're getting everything ready to go. We can talk about all these different air purifiers. We're totally live here, so I'm happy to answer questions. And I'm Tom. I'm here from DIY Life Tech, and today we're talking about the best air purifiers. So I live in California, and unfortunately we've had to deal with a lot of wildfires recently where the air quality can get really bad. There can be smoke, but also there's a lot of different things day to day that can change the air quality in your house. And that can be something as simple as cooking. I've actually found cooking, smoky dishes, especially if you're frying something or baking or you burn something, that can make a big impact. If you have pets, it's great to have an air purifier in your home. And, just again, with that wildfire smoke, I've become kind of an inadvertent expert, I would say, on air purifiers. So today I want to share my picks for the best air purifiers for all different applications in your house and even in your car, as we'll see. So let's dive in. We'll start to talk about some of the best air purifiers out there. There's a lot of these are on sale coming into the holidays. So really great to have air purifiers in your house, especially if you're going to have a lot of guests over the holidays. It's really nice to have that extra level of filtration if you're going to have a lot of people in your space. So the first one I want to highlight, this is the Metaphy Air Ma14 air purifier. We're going to talk about several purifiers from Metaphy Air. And a lot of them are actually on sale right now for the holidays, so you can get these at a great price. And some things I like about Metaphy Air, the Metaphy in there is actually that it is a medical grade filter. So when we're looking at air purifiers, we're looking at we're usually ideally looking for a HEPA filter. So a HEPA filter is able to remove small particulates from the air. And that's things like dust, like smoke, pet dander, mildew, mold, that kind of stuff that it can get out of the air. And so you're looking for a true HEPA. You want to get something that's really a HEPA filter. And I think HEPA is high efficiency particulate filter, so HEPA. And the thing with Metaphy, though, that's great is that not only are these a true HEPA filter, it's actually an H13 filter, which is a little bit higher grade than a traditional HEPA filter. And that means that it can remove up to 99.9% of small particulates. So things like smoke and the other stuff that's going to usually reduce the air quality in your home, this will actually remove even more of those than a traditional HEPA filter, and that's the H13 standard. And I actually learned about these when I was in my dentist's office, and they were actually using these in their medical space there. So it is a medical grade purifier, but you can get it and use it in your own home. And Metaphy makes a bunch of different models that are great. We're going to look at some of my favorites of them, but we'll start here with the Ma14. So this is kind of their most basic, simple purifier. Still does a great job. Again, all of their purifiers are that H13, so that's a medical grade HEPA filter. And the cool thing with the Ma14, it's a small filter. It's really an entry level, and still works great though for relatively small rooms. So a small bedroom, a home office where you want to improve the air quality, this is a great bet. Very small. You can see it fits, on a desktop, you can put it. I use some of these in my kids' nursery, so to have them up on top of a dresser, where it's still going to be able to filter, but it's a bit out of the way. And really, really simple controls on the Ma14 here. So you can just press one button, switches on. There's a 360-degree filter, again, that H13. It has a carbon filter built in too, so it'll help to get rid of odors in the air in addition to those small particulates. And it's just drawing air in through the intakes all around the sides of the purifier, and then the fan is blowing that out the top of the purifier here. And we can adjust the fan's speed with this button up top. So we can see there's an S and then 1, 2, 3. The S is a silent setting for if you're sleeping. And we can adjust this to get quite a powerful breeze coming out there. Now, at full capacity, I think this works great in a room, probably about 100 to 250 square feet, depending on how many air changes per hour you want to get. And that's, again, your smaller bedrooms, home office, any kind of space. Even if you're working in an office and you want to have one right in your cubicle, you can get really good filtration, small unit, and I love that it's so simple. It's just that those couple of buttons. There's a button in the middle here. It's actually going to switch. There's some blue lights around here and on the front, and you can turn those off with this little middle button. It's still going to operate, but it's not going to be all illuminated. So again, great for a kid's nursery, for kids' room, any kind of sleep space. This is wonderful because you can switch the lights off, and it's going to keep running, going to keep filtering, and you're not going to have the issue with that of those lights, keeping your kid awake at night or creating light pollution in your room. So if you're just joining me, I'm talking about the best air purifiers. And I live in California. We've dealt with a lot of wildfire smoke. I've kind of become an expert in air purifiers. I think I own 12 of them at this point. So I wanted to highlight some of my favorites, some of the best ones that are out there. And if this is live, so if you have any questions at all, please feel free to put them in the chat. I'm very happy to answer. If you're enjoying this, please follow me. That really, really helps. So again, MA14, great, relatively basic purifier, and I find that this works really well to get rid of those small particulates. It's great if you have pets, and I like also for the holidays that this is something you could gift to someone. Little surprising of a gift in some ways. But it's actually a very compassionate gift to give an air purifier to somebody, especially if you have an older family member, someone in your community that might be more affected by smoke. For example, it's great to give this, and it's a way for them to take care of the air quality in their home and make those improvements. So really great entry-level filter here from Metaphy Air with the MA14 filter that you're seeing here. And we can switch it back off again. Again, really simple, and if you put these in the different rooms in your house, if you have guests over, it's really easy for everybody to figure out how to use this purifier. Another thing I want to highlight, this is not a purifier, but it's something I'm going to be referring back to at various points. This is the Temtop P10 Sensor. So one of the things that people often, I think, wonder or worry about with air purifiers is it actually doing anything? It feels like, okay, I've got this thing, switched it on, maybe my air smells a little better, but a lot of these particulates you can't even necessarily smell or detect. So the P10 here is actually a little meter. It's a professional quality meter, and it's actually measuring the air quality and giving you a readout as an air quality index. So if you're familiar with Air Now, the government monitoring system, or there's a bunch of different networks out there that allow you to monitor air quality in your community, you're probably used to tracking the AQI, or air quality index. And this is actually an air quality index meter for your home. So it's going to tell you the air quality in your house at all times. And you can see as you start to use air purifiers in your home that it's going to make improvements, and that number is going to decrease. So the AQI is a scale, and anything under 50 is considered to be good. So I'm at 54 at the moment. That's actually a moderate rating, so still pretty good, but not ideal. Anything from 100 to 150 gets to be unhealthy for sensitive groups. As you get higher, it becomes less and less healthy air. So it's great to have this set up in your house. I like to keep this on. It actually has a USB cable. As you can see here, it has a battery pack, and a couple things you can do with this. One is you can tell that your air purifier is actually working, as I'm doing here. You can hold it over the output from the air purifier, and you can see that number drop. So the air is indeed clean coming out of here. That AQI just keeps going down. And you can monitor the air in your home so that you know when you need to turn your purifiers on or when your air is already pretty good. So it takes a couple seconds to adjust as it monitors the changing air quality. But as you can see, as soon as I take it away from the purifier there, that number is going to creep back up to the baseline level. And here, which is moderate, it's not terrible. I wouldn't be standing around talking a lot if it was very bad. But this helps you to monitor and see the actual impact that all the purifiers that you're using in your home are making in near real time. If you're just joining me, we're talking about the best air purifiers. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. And if you're finding this helpful in any way, please do follow me. That really, really helps. And let's dive in. So this is the MA14 basic air purifier from Metaphy Air. But there's also a couple of others that I want to highlight from Metaphy Air. And again, these are really great because they are a medical grade H13 filter, a little bit more powerful than your traditional HEPA filter, and they work really great in many different rooms of your house. So that's the MA14, kind of the entry level. A couple steps up from that, this is the MA25. Let me bring this over so we can have a look at it. This is a bigger purifier. It's a more powerful purifier. Let me switch over here. So I'm going to highlight this so you can see it in the carousel here. It is on sale. In fact, many of Metaphy Air's purifiers are on sale at the moment for the holidays, which is great. So this is a perfect time to buy these. Some of these are the best deals that I've seen in a long time on Metaphy's products. So if you're thinking about getting purifiers, especially sometimes once there's a wildfire or an event that creates a lot of smoke, these sell out. So it's a great time to grab one over the holidays when these deals are available and have it ready to go next time that happens. I was saying I live in California. We deal with a lot of wildfire smoke, but you can have negative air quality in your home because you burn something on the stove, or there can be mildew or mold if you live in a very humid climate. Or you have pets and there's pet danger. Maybe you have people who suffer from allergies and they need a cleaner quality of air overall. There's a lot of reasons to invest in an air purifier, and again, now is the time to do it because they're on sale for the holidays and we're not in the middle of a big event that's causing them to sell out, which is great. Metaphy Air Ma25, again, it's that H13 filter. So it's the HEPA filter that's medical grade. It's able to remove those very small particulates down to 0.1 microns, tiny, tiny little particulates like you would get from smoke, and it just does a great job of that. So this is a more powerful air purifier, moves more air, which means it can clean a bigger space, or in an even larger space, you get more air changes, or rather in a smaller space, you get more air changes per hour with a more powerful purifier. So a couple of things with this. It's got two filters in it. They're these sort of linear filters, so we can pop the side of this open. You can see here's that H13 filter on the inside, very thick, so you got a lot of filtration happening there. And there's a little pre-filter on the outside. You can see some dust floating up because it removes those big pieces of dust and feathers from your couch and whatever. And then there's also a carbon filter in here that's going to remove those odors. And there's one on the other side of the unit too. So really easy to put a new filter in. Also, when you need to change your filters, just put that side on the unit. And again, we've got another one over on the other side here. We can pop this open. Same deal, two filters means more filtration, more power coming out of this. And I'll show you the controls. We get some more complex options and more controls on the MA25 purifier than the more basic models. If you're just joining me, we're talking about the best air purifiers. I didn't intend to become an air purifier expert, but dealing with wildfires in California, it's happened, and I've got about 12 purifiers in my home at this point. So I'm sharing some of my top picks for different kinds of purifiers. So I'm going to press this button. It's a glass top here, and that means it's easy to clean this top off. I like that it's got these touchscreen kind of buttons, so it's kind of a futuristic type of look on the top. And we have a little bit more in terms of features here. So we've got different fan speeds. You can boost that up. It's quite powerful when you're on the full speed. Again, two filters means you're going to get more airflow, more cleaning power. Again, still that H13. We can dim the lights on here, and we can also set a child lock because this is, again, tempting with these cool shiny buttons on the top. So child lock means that they can't switch this on by mistake. Nice to have. And you can also set a timer. So if you want to turn this purifier on as you go to sleep, and then have it run for several hours and then switch off at a certain point, you have the ability to do that with the timer on there on the MA25 from Metaphy Air. Any questions? I see a lot of people are just joining us here. Please feel free to ask them in the chat. I'm happy to answer any questions you have about the MA25 or any of the other purifiers here. If you're enjoying this, if you're getting anything out of it, please do follow me. That really helps. And if you want to check any of these products out, they're in the carousel. You can click through and have a look at them. So this is the one I'm featuring now. This is the Ma25 from Metaphy Air. And again, this is a great time to be buying this because these are on sale for the holidays. Really good deals on these purifiers. And it's also, there's not like a big wildfire, a big event happening now that's leading them to sell out. And these often sell out, so this is the time to do it when you can invest in this, have it in your home, and you can have it for the holidays if you've got guests coming in, especially if you have anyone who's sensitive, who has asthma or allergies and that kind of thing. It can be helpful to have this because it will filter out pollen, it'll filter out pet dander, it'll filter out a lot of other allergens. The other nice thing is over the holidays, a lot of people are cooking. Even if you don't burn something when you're cooking, you can actually generate a lot of particulates in the air and smoke and that kind of thing. And just those kinds of, especially if you're frying things, if you're cooking, a turkey or a chicken or something like that in the oven, you often end up with a lot of particulates in the air, a surprising number. And air purifiers are great for removing that and keeping the air quality in your home really good. So the Ma25, great air purifier for a bigger bedroom if you've got a large primary bedroom. I find this works well, 300 square feet or bigger space even, but fewer air changes per hour. So if you've got a an open concept living room or something, the Ma25, great size, great unit to take care of the air in that space as well. Again, any questions? We are live here, so feel free to ask them in the chat. Very happy to answer any of those. And I think this makes a great just a general air purifier to have around the house, and a great one for, again, those bigger bedrooms too. So I really like that that this is still at H13, very powerful, does a great job of removing those particulates. In this case, the air comes out the front of the unit. So it's pulling air in from the sides here with these different two different filters on the sides, and then it's blowing all of that air out the front of the purifier. And you can hear as I turn that up, you actually get quite a powerful blast of air coming out of this purifier here with the Ma25. So it's quite powerful, and I think makes a great purifier for those mid-sized rooms in your house. So Ma25, Metaphy Air, but there's actually one even bigger, even more powerful, and we'll take a look at that in a second. So again, I like Metaphy because they have all these different options, and they are these medical grade filters. And you can see as I this is my Temtop P10, this is my air quality monitor, getting my air quality index. As I put this in front of the purifier, the air is blowing on it. You can see that number going down, indicating that it is in fact cleaning the air. So I like to verify that these air purifiers are really doing their job, and the Temtop is a great tool to do that, to see the air quality index in your home. And you can see as I've got it in front of the purifier, it's actually dropping this, and again, if I have this in an actual room, then over time you'd see it drop even further. So that's the Ma25. Any questions about that? Feel free to put them in the chat. I see some people just joined us, so happy to answer any questions you have about the Ma25 air purifier. I've used this for over a year. Really great purifier, great for your mid-sized rooms. But let's go even bigger. Let's go one step bigger. This is actually, if I had to choose my favorite air purifier, it's hard because, again, I have about 12 of them, so I've definitely developed a weird level of expertise in air purifiers. This is the Ma112, and it's actually so big that I couldn't fit it on my desk initially. So I'm going to lower my standing desk here, and I'm going to grab this and put it up there, and it's going to fill the whole space. And we can see how gigantic this one is. So again, this is, if I had to choose my favorite, this is the biggest air purifier I think I've ever seen. It's going to be so big it even kind of fills up the frame here. This is the Ma112, and this is a really serious air purifier. This is enough to purify your entire house. This will handle, in my experience, 2,000, even 3,000 square feet, and it is incredibly powerful. So if you compare it to, its smaller, smaller cousins from Metaphy. This is the tiny MA14 that we looked at. Just look at the size difference. It's basically the same design. It's just super, super, super sized. And the result of that is that it is really, really powerful. And again, it can purify your entire house with one purifier. And it's also great for businesses. So if you own a restaurant, if you own a small business where you have a bigger space and you need to purify that space, again, it's still the H13 medical grade HEPA filter. So it's going to take care of small particulates really efficiently. It's great for getting rid of everything from pet dander, even bacteria and viruses in the air. This can handle that. And this is just gigantic. It's basically a huge purifier. It has wheels on the bottom, so you can push it around, which is helpful because it is really big. You saw I had to almost struggle to get it onto the desk. But again, it'll purify 2,000 to 3,000 square feet in my experience in my testing. And it does it really fast, it does it really efficiently. It's got a big fan in the unit. It's got two filters, again, that H13. Let's see if I can open this. Big filter on the inside there, and it's got one on both sides. Big fan, you can switch it on, there's multiple fan speeds. Otherwise, very simple controls. So just fan speed, there's a child lock, there's a timer, there's a sleep function that turns the lights off on it, and then there's an ionizer, which you can use if you want. It puts out negative ions, can help to clean the air. I usually don't use the ionizer. If you're just joining me, I'm talking about the best air purifiers. This is my top pick. If you want the sort of cream of the crop air purifier, this thing is awesome. Metaphy actually sent this to me to check out, so thank you to them for doing that. It was really helpful to be able to try this because I didn't know, whether I was going to need a purifier this big, but I have a fairly open concept, tall ceilinged house. And I found when we had wildfire smoke, my house was built in the 80s. It's not the most sealed, well-sealed house, so you get a lot of the smoke coming in, and it was actually, I would get, again, measuring with my Temtop monitor here, I would see that my air quality was not great. So even with a lot of purifiers running, it's hard to handle those big, tall ceilinged spaces. This makes short work of it. So you can switch on the MA112. Probably 10-20 minutes later, you see the air quality index improve, and it can handle even those big, big spaces. So this is an awesome, awesome air purifier. Granted, it is on the pricier side, so it's an investment definitely, but it is on sale at the moment. This is a great price for it over the holidays, and you're not going to find a better time to buy it because these sell out quickly when there's a big air quality event like a wildfire. People snap them up. So if you're thinking about buying a purifier, this is the time to do it. And this is definitely a great, great option if you want to have something that's going to handle just these gigantic spaces. Again, also people use these for homes, for businesses, for even medical facilities, and it is a medical grade HEPA filter that, again, you can use in your own house. If you have any questions at all about this, I see a bunch of people have just joined us live. Please do feel free to put them in the chat. I'm totally happy to answer, happy to demonstrate this, the MA112. So let me go ahead and switch it on. You're not even going to be able to see the top of it. It's so gigantic. But let me switch this, and I can turn this up, and we're getting a ton of air flowing through the top of this. So again, it can handle these big, big, big spaces. Or if you really want to have a lot of air changes and you have a smaller space, but you really want to make sure that it's totally clean, this is really a great option. And you can very quickly improve the air quality in your house here with the MA112. The only thing that's a challenge is it is so tall that if people walk by it and like rest a hand on it, they might actually, I've seen people use it like as a support as they walk around the house. Sometimes they'll press the buttons on the top by mistake and actually, switch the settings on it. But this will purify a big, big space. A garage if you want to have purification, in your workshop or something. The MA112 is my favorite. It's again just a really great, really versatile air purifier, and it is gigantic. So it's probably more than you need for a lot of spaces. But it's going to clear the air very quickly, It's great for a big kitchen too. If you have an open concept kitchen, you do a lot of cooking, you get a lot of smoke in the air. This is great for getting rid of that. You can see when I started with my Temtop meter, it was at 56, I believe. After about 30 seconds here, we're down to an 8 on the air quality index. So the air coming out of here is very, very clean. And I can actually verify that, again, using my, my Temtop meter. So MA112, awesome purifier, great price right now. Really a great time to snap this up. And especially if you're going to have a bunch of people in your space, maybe you're hosting a party or hosting a lot of family members for the holidays, this is a great time to invest in a purifier to make sure that the air is clear in your space. This will handle, according to Metaphy, things like viruses, bacteria in the air, so great to purify the air in that space. Also great if you have pets and you really want to have it clean. Maybe you have allergies and pets. This is a great option to get rid of that pet dander in the air. Really great to use the MA112 for that kind of application as well. And it's just a big, big purifier that's just going to do an awesome job. Any questions you have about this, I'm going to put it back down on the ground in a second. Can't really keep it on my desk because it is so gigantic. But if you have any questions about it, please ask those now in the chat. Totally happy to answer them, happy to demo anything about this really huge purifier. And again, thank you to Metaphy for sending this to me to trial, to test out. It's been great to test it, and I find that I'm using it even beyond when I was testing it out. I'm just using it at my own house, again, for those, especially those wildfire days when the air quality degrades pretty substantially. This is just such a great purifier to have for those kinds of times. So you can see it highlighted here. If you're interested in it, click through, check it out. Again, great price. Not going to find a better time to buy it. And get one now rather than waiting until there's a wildfire or some other event, because they will start to sell out. Because everybody suddenly needs it all at once and they're buying it. And I've seen these go totally out of stock in that situation. So now's a good time. Take advantage of the sales for the holidays. Get this ready to go, and the next time you have an issue like that, especially if, like me, you live in California or a place where you can get smoke frequently, you'll be ready to go and you won't have to worry about it. So check out the MA112, probably my favorite purifier overall, and the most powerful unit I've tested from Metaphy Air. So I'm going to unplug this and take it down off of the desk now, because it is really, really big. So let's do this really carefully. Just a second. All right. So again, any questions that you have, we are live. Let me bring my desk back up, and feel free to put those in the chat. I love answering questions about any of these. I've tested these all out extensively in my own house, and in some cases for over a year now. And it's really really helpful to be able to have these, and I'm happy to share my thoughts or answer any of your specific questions. So yeah, let's take a look. Also, let me stop for a second here and switch over to the Temtop. Again, I've been using this to show how effectively the air purifiers work. This is an in-home air quality index meter, and this is great because you can see when you need to turn your purifiers on. Any score from 0 to 50 is considered good, so we're in good shape right now. 50 to 100, moderate. 100 to 150, you're getting to where it's unhealthy for some sensitive groups. 150 or over, you start to get into the kind of concerning territory for air quality. This is measuring PM 2.5 small particulates. That's things like smoke. And you can see also a reading for those. So you can switch. This is battery powered, plug it in, charge it up. It's a professional grade meter, great to have in your house. You get this readout, and you can see when your air purifiers have worked. You can switch them back off if you want to. You can see when the air quality has dropped. Maybe you're cooking and you have a lot of smoke in the air. You know when to turn your purifiers on. So don't guess, do I need an air purifier on right now? Get a meter like the P10, and you'll know for sure. Oops, the air quality is bad, switch it on. See the air quality improve, we're good. It's gonna preserve the filters in your units too, because you don't have to run them as often if you know that the air has been improved already. So P10 from Temtop there, really great additional item to add if you're gonna consider any purifiers. One more purifier I want to highlight from Metaphy. This is a really cool item. It's kind of unique. There's not really that many like this. And they actually sent me this one to trial too, so thank you for that. This is the MA car. So we talked about the MA14, we talked about the MA25, the MA112. This is the MA car. So any guesses as to, to where this goes? If anybody wants to put it in the chat, take a guess. This goes in your car, obviously. So MA car, it's a car air purifier. And I think that's really cool because, again, as a Californian, I spend a lot of time in my car. And you can make the air quality in your home really good. But then if you go to your car and your car doesn't have a HEPA filter, you know, probably the cabin filter, in my experience, again, measuring with the P10 meter in my own car, it does a good job. It reduces the number of particulates in the air, but it's not as good as a HEPA filter. So if you're driving around in kind of smoggy or smoky conditions, you can actually spend a lot of time in your car and have poor air quality and not even realize that that's happening. So, you know, don't rely, unless you have a car where you know it has a HEPA filter, don't necessarily rely on that cabin filter. This is a great item to add to your car. And again, this is the MA car purifier. And it is, again, like all of the Metaphy Air, it's a medical grade H13 true HEPA filter, rare to find for a car. And, but it plugs in and will actually operate in your car as you're driving. So we've got the filter inside of here. You can take a little peek at this. And then, you know, there it is. So tiny little version of those big filters we were looking at in the home units from Metaphy. Pops right in there. And then it's really easy to have this in your car as you're driving around. If you're just joining us, we're talking live about the best air purifiers, and I'm talking now about the MA car, which is a true HEPA filter for your car. Any questions, feel free to put those in the chat. If you're interested, you can see the highlighted product, click through, check it out, and if you have any questions at all, yeah, feel free to ask them. And if you are enjoying this, if you're getting something out of it, please do follow me. It really helps. And I see a comment here from Anonymous Miner, who was kind enough to join us before and talk about their experiences with buying some Metaphy air purifiers. So great to see you back. Thanks for coming back. I know you had purchased a purifier for a family member who had allergies, and you liked the Metaphy purifiers for that purpose. So great to have you back. Thank you for joining us. And that's an application a lot of people use these for. If they have a family member or they themselves have allergies and they want to reduce the amount of pollen in the air, or again, if you're in your car and you're driving around, and especially, you know, in the fall when the trees are coming out and there's you know, a lot of different pollen in the air and things that might be a problem for you, or if you live in a city and you have a lot of smog, then it's great to have something where you can go and purify the air in your car as you're driving around and make sure that it's clean. And if you have a car that has a really good cabin filter, you know, that's great, but not every car is able to do that. I actually used the P10 monitor, which I showed here, to take a look at the air quality in my own car, and it wasn't great during a wildfire, honestly. It's not terrible, but it was better than outdoors, but it still wasn't really cutting it. So again, Metaphy sent me the MA car to test out, and it's got this H13 true HEPA filter inside of here, and you plug this in to the accessory port, or cigarette lighter as some people call it, in the car. So it's just a little power cord. This plugs in just like you plug in, you know, a cell phone charger or anything else, and then it'll actually run, and you've got the same kinds of settings you would on any of the other sort of big home Metaphy purifiers. You've got a filter, an ionizer there, and we've got a fan speed setting that we can switch up on here too. I see a question here from Robert. What's my favorite air purifier? Great question. We'll come back to the MA car, but I do want to answer Robert's question. I'm going to actually answer it by pulling it up here. This is the MA112. I showed it a second ago. It's gigantic. It's so big that I can't even fit it on the desk, and this is my favorite purifier because it will clear out the air in a 2,000 to 3,000 square foot space in my testing. And so it's just gigantic. I mean, it's so big that, again, let me lift it up into the whole frame. It's, half my height, basically. It's bigger than my kids. This is a giant purifier. And the advantage of that is that you've got two huge H13 filters. And it clears the air out. I see somebody's anonymous miner says that thing is huge. Yes, it is. It is really, really big. It's heavy. It's got wheels. It's so big, so you have to carry it around. You've got wheels. It's got these two huge filters on the side. And the advantage of that is that you can use it for a big space if you want to. So 2,000, 3,000 square feet. That's a big open concept house, or a lot of people use it in a business. So, if you've got a restaurant or you've got a small business where, you've got a bigger floor space than you would have in a typical home. I've even seen them used in doctors' offices and dentists' offices. And that's, really great to be able to have this giant purifier that can handle these big spaces. So that's definitely nice to have that ability to clear out a big space, but it's also, even if you have a smaller space, if you've got really dirty air, then having this giant purifier is really helpful because you can clear out that air even if more smoke or whatever is leaking in. So I shared my house is built in the 80s. It's not the most energy efficient house. There's a lot of leakage of air from the outside in. And when we have really bad wildfires here in California, there's a lot of smoke that seeps into the house. And even with a really good purifier, it can't always keep up with the amount of smoke that's still coming into the home. So it's great to have the MA112 because it will actually clear out that smoke way faster than it's seeping in, and even in a smaller room, it'll keep it really clean in there. And again, I use my Temtop P10 meter, so I'm not guessing at the quality of the air, I'm measuring it, and I can see when I switch this on, before I switch it on with wildfires, this can be over 100 on the AQI. And it'll drop down to 7 or 8 after I run that purifier for probably half an hour or so. So it's a really great purifier, and to answer, thank you to Robert for asking that question. What's my favorite purifier? This is definitely my favorite, the 112. It's big, it is expensive. It's on sale right now, so the normal price is $5.95 on Amazon. It's $4.76 right now. So that's a 20% off at the moment. So I was saying, buy it now if you're considering getting a purifier. The reason for that is that when there is a wildfire, then everybody tries to get these all at once, and you're going to be competing with this one with businesses too that want to keep their business open, and these sell out really quickly when there's a big fire like that. So I've dealt with that in California, and it's great to have them in advance, and you're not going to find a better price than over the holidays where you're seeing these sales, and it's a great time to go and make that purchase and make that investment. Plus, you'll have it for the holidays. So if you have a bunch of people in your space, you're cooking more, you're doing other things that are gonna, maybe someone brings their dog, or you've got someone who has allergies, like Anonymous Miner had pointed out before. If you have a family member who has allergies, it's great to have this in your space and to just make those improvements to your air quality. So best purifier, if I had to pick one, I think it's really tailored to the application. The MA14, which I showed earlier, is great for smaller rooms. You definitely, if you have, a 100 square foot bedroom, you're not going to need the MA112 in it. This is still a great purifier, MA14, basic, inexpensive, entry-level purifier, still that H13 medical grade HEPA filter, but much more accessible and much easier to have in your space too. It's not this giant hulking thing. But if I had to choose one overall, that's the most, sort of powerful and useful to me anyway, the MA112 would be my choice. Thank you, Robert. I love to answer your questions. If you have any more questions, please do put them in the chat. Very happy to answer those live. We've got a bunch of people tuned in and enjoying this, so thank you. Yeah, let's go back to the MA car for a second here. And again, the MA112 Metaphy did give me that to test. Same deal with the MA car. The other ones I purchased myself, so I've been using these on my own and then was fortunate enough to work with Metaphy to test some of the other purifiers too. So this is the MA car here. And as I was starting to show, it's got a true HEPA filter, H13, but it plugs into your car's accessory socket or cigarette lighter, some people call it. Basic settings, change the fan speed, switch it on and off, and there's a filter ionizer on there. I don't like to use the ionizer personally, but you can do that. That's really, really useful and good way to clear out the air in your car. Anonymous Miner says that the storefront's looking good. Yeah, so if you want to click through and check out any of these, please do. You can see highlighted in the carousel here. So again, MA car air purifier here. And I use this in my minivan. This can purify the space for about a 7-seat car. So even if you have a fairly big car, like an SUV or a minivan, you can clear out the air in there, and it's really nice to have that when you have wildfires, or just if you're driving in a smoggy city, or maybe that garbage truck pulls out in front of you, and you want to make the air in your car smell a little bit better. The MA car is a great option to add that true HEPA filtration inside of your car. And again, I verify all my purifiers with the Temtop Professional AQI monitor, and this one will actually take the air quality in the car down from usually around a 50, maybe a little higher if there's smoke outside, just with the cabin filter. This will get it down into that 10, 12 range, where it's really almost perfect air quality despite wildfire smoke. So this is really a great small purifier, and it's just a neat application. And I've seen Uber drivers, if you're driving people in your car, this is great to have too, because it just adds that extra level of filtration if you're sharing that car space with other people. And I've heard from Uber drivers that like this. It's like a benefit for their customers to have this in the car, and people feel more comfortable with that. There's a couple of different ways to mount it. I just put mine under the seat in the car. There's also mounting straps that come with it that I don't use, but you can mount it on the back of a seat. So some of the Uber drivers I've talked to mount this on the back of the seat on the headrest facing the customer, and then they can sit in the back and control it themselves. The only gripe I have with this purifier is that you actually have to switch it on every time you start to drive. So even if it's plugged in when you start the car, it doesn't start automatically. You actually have to press the button to switch it on. Not the end of the world, but it is a little bit frustrating sometimes. You just want it to go, and you might forget. So just keep that in mind. You will have to press that button, switch it on when you start the car. The advantage, though, is that you won't just leave it and forget and wear through the whole filter. It's sometimes harder to realize that it's on if it's like under the seat or in the back seat. So you do have to switch it on each time that you start the car. Just be aware of that. But still, really good H13 true HEPA filter for your car, which I think is just a really cool, different application there. I want to change gears a little bit here and highlight something. This is not a HEPA filter. This is not technically an air purifier, but this is a great filter to improve the air quality in your house overall. This is a furnace filter. This is a Filtrete filter, and I'll ask the people who are here. We got a bunch of people in chat, which is awesome. When was the last time that you changed your furnace air filter? Feel free to answer if you want to. Put it in the chat. If you're asking yourself what is a furnace air filter, then that's probably an issue. Your HVAC system at home, your furnace or your air conditioner has a filter built into it that will actually protect the unit from the dust in your space, and it'll help to filter the air in your home. And it's not going to be a HEPA level of filtration in most systems. It's going to be a lower level of filtering, but it'll still get rid of things like dust and some pet dander and other kinds of indoor air pollutants. So you want to switch that out every 3 to 6 months. If you haven't ever switched it out, if you weren't aware it existed, it's super easy. You just find the register in your home. It's a big thing. You open it, you put a new filter in, take the old one out. You'll be amazed how much dust you'll see caked into your filter if you haven't changed it in a bit. And the Filtrete is a great one. This is their basic filter. It's electrostatic, so it'll trap dust. And this is a 14 by 24 by 1, but you can get these in all different sizes, customized to your own system. And this works great as a replacement. And definitely, if you haven't done that in a while, get these, do it now. It's going to mean better efficiency for your system, so you'll use less electrical power. It'll mean better air quality in your home because you're filtering the air and getting that dust out. It'll make your HEPA filters work less hard because you'll be getting those big dust particles out for them. And it'll potentially improve the air quality in your space. So this is a MERV 6 rating. HEPA is like a MERV 13 or 14 usually, so it's a very much more filtration, but this will take care of the basics and get the baseline air quality in your home a bit better, again, to make the performance of your other filters better, and also to protect your system, because if your filter gets too full of dust, I actually had a situation where mine got too caked with dust, and the system became so inefficient, it actually iced up, and the whole thing stopped working. So all I had to do was switch out the filter, super easy fix, and the system started running again. But I had to do that because it actually shut my whole HVAC system down to have not changed the filter. If you're just joining me, we are live here talking about the best air purifiers. If you have any questions, put them in the chat. If you're finding this helpful or enjoying it, please do follow me. It really, really helps. And if you want to check any of these out, you can see them in the carousel there. So the final one I want to talk about, I talked a lot about Metaphy's purifiers because, again, they're the ones I started buying for my own house, and then I started working with them to test some of those where they sent them to me to check out. So I've gotten quite a familiarity, and I also like that they're a H13 medical grade. But this is another really great filter that's been hanging out in the back of the frame here for a bit. This is the Cowway Air Mega. And I'm going to bring it over here and we can take a look at it. So this is great for a bunch of reasons. Plug it in here. This is actually a smart air purifier. And I showed how with the Temtop meter, I can measure the air quality in my house and then know when to turn my purifiers on. This one actually will do that for me automatically. So let me lower this. I'm going to lower my desk down so we can see the top of this purifier. Fairly large, so it'll handle a space up to about 300, 350 square feet. So that's your living room, it's your larger primary bedroom, and again, it'll handle, pretty big space. But what we've got on here is it actually has an air quality sensor built into it, and it's going to measure the air quality in your space, and if the quality degrades, it'll automatically turn up the fan and start to purify the space better. And that's really helpful because if you're cooking, for example, or maybe you light a candle in your house and there's all these particulates going out, you're not necessarily going to remember, oh, I got to go over and switch on the air purifier. The great thing with this is it's doing it automatically. It's measuring the air quality, and if it degrades, it'll switch the filter up to a higher setting, get all that stuff out of your air, and then it'll switch itself back down to a baseline setting once the air has improved. So automatic, smart sensor built into that. Other than that, it's not the H13 of the Metaphy filters, but it is a true HEPA filter, so it's still quite a lot of small particulate filtering. We've got basic controls in addition to the smart control. We can manually set the fan speed on the top here. There is an ionizer. Again, I usually don't use those, but it is an option. And we've got a timer, so we can have the switch off after a period of time. And then we can also do a filter reset function here. So a little more basic in terms of the filter itself, but a really great option here with the Cowway Air Mega filter. And this is also on sale. It's about almost 30% off, 28% off right now. So great time to buy this. And this is a really good, just kind of more utilitarian, basic filter for your living room, for your smaller open concept home, or for a larger primary bedroom where you don't need necessarily that H13 medical grade filtration, but you still want something that's going to be a really great purifier. And especially with that smart function, I really like that it will automatically switch on and start to purify the air when you need it. So that's the Cowway Air Mega. I'm going to peek out from behind this thing. Any questions, please do put them in the chat. If you're enjoying yourself, if you're finding this useful, please do follow me. That really, really helps. And yeah, feel free to ask any additional questions that you have. Very happy to answer any of your questions about this purifier or any of the other ones that we've looked at today here. So those are my picks. Those are my top picks for different air purifiers. I'm also just going to highlight a final time the Temtop. This is just such a great device to have in your home if you are in an area that can have bad air quality. This will tell you when the AQI, the air quality index, has gotten bad, and you can know when to switch your purifiers on. Really, really helpful and really easy to use meter. You just get this readout on there and you can monitor. And I found it very accurate. You know, I showed earlier, you can put it in front of a purifier, you can see the number actually drop, indicating better air quality on there. So again, try out different Metaphy purifiers based on your space if you want an H13. You can even add the Metaphy car that I showed if you're in a wildfire-prone area or an area with bad air quality. You know, even just a city where there's smog, it's nice to have that extra level of protection when you're driving around. Again, I was asked earlier, you know, what's my favorite purifier? My favorite one, if I had to choose one of these, would be that MA112. I'll lift it up again just for fun. It's big. It's really big. It's heavy. It's powerful. 2,000, 3,000 square feet, that'll clear out. If you're thinking, all right, I just want something where I know it's going to work, I know it's going to clear out the air, no matter, you know, none of these other worrying about other settings, and you don't mind making the investment, it is 20% off right now, so it's a great time to buy it. But it is definitely big, and it's on the pricier side. However, it's really powerful, and it will clear out the air in your space incredibly effectively, very quickly. And you know, it's just my overall, I think, top pick if I had to choose the best purifier from my own testing. Metaphy did send me this to check out, so I really appreciate that they did that because it gave me the opportunity to really try this out in my own home over a long period. And all of these are things that I've tested myself, that I've used in my own house, sometimes for up to a year, and they've performed great for me through wildfires, through all kinds of different poor air quality events. So these are all things that I really have tested out and tried and found to be the best. So if you have any more questions, please do feel free to ask me in the chat. If you've been following along, enjoying yourself, please do follow me. That really helps. And if you want to check out any of these, you can click through in the carousel and take a look at them. These are all great options depending on your application, depending on your needs. Any final questions, happy to answer them. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me and learning about the best air purifiers.